Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Who the hell am I?
I'm a construction worker. I have to go to the bathroom. I said, be right back.
I'm a cop, you idiot!
Pasta.
Oh, I'm Detective John Kimball.
Who is your daddy?
Answer the question!
And what does he do?
Put that cookie down! Now!
Folks, welcome to Enter the Mr. Universe,
Yes.
our Arnold Schwarzenegger podcast.
The only Arnold Schwarzenegger podcast on the internet.
Yes. It is brought to you by our fantastic producer, Norm from Cheers.
Norm.
Yes, that Norm. That Norm from Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Norm from Cheers, our
Thank you.
producer who has made this all possible. Something that is so obvious as a podcast. We've been doing this podcast for what, 6-7 years now. And
At least 100. At least 150.
We've been going through every Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, at least every major one. I think we skipped Christmas in Connecticut, his directorial debut, but
Yeah.
uh,
Where the promos for him threatening you to watch it.
yeah.
We could have
we-
just done
we-
an episode about the commercial. You're going to watch Christmas in Connecticut or else. It was all cheeky and stuff, but it's still the end of the day, the idea is still he's telling us you better watch my movie
Yeah,
or
he
else.
threatened us.
Watch my Christmas movie.
He threatened to assault us.
Yeah, I believe he's holding a cigar too in my memory.
Of course he is. But all right, so we're well into where things, went wrong. We did the 6th day.
Yeah.
And when I say went wrong, it is more about just every action changed,
Yeah.
what we were looking for.
The audiences had moved on from 80s action.
Yeah, he's going to do this movie and then he's going to go, okay, I guess I'll do another Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I'm excited to talk about too.
Right.
But
And
yeah.
that's basically the last thing before he becomes governor.
Yeah, and then he goes away for a little while. But the year is 2002. I assume this was written before 9/11.
Oh yeah, it had to have
And
been.
yeah. And it is the director of The Fugitive.
It sure is. Andrew Davis.
It's funny because it doesn't feel like that. It feels very 2000s.
Yeah.
And the style. And it's sort of it really does seem like they wrote it before 9/11, and they're like, we have to quickly rewrite it after 9/11, and it's not really cohesive in the message, I guess. The overall idea, it's about the cycle of violence, kind of.
Sort of.
It's about a guy, and this is why it's so whew. It's about a fireman who has his wife and kid get 9/11.
They sure do. They get exploded eating at the sidewalk cafe that's next to the Colombian consulate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
classic.
we're actually right in front of it. It's attached to the Colombian consulate.
Right. And then it's we learn that the terrorist, we learn a lot of things, but we learn that the terrorist is his wife and kid was killed by Americans, right? And it's sort of this idea of
no, they say guerrillas.
Oh, okay, so they don't, because we have Casey Jones.
Yeah, the one thing this movie is unwilling to say is that maybe the CIA and the United States shouldn't be dictating what happens in Colombia.
That's what makes it very post 9/11, where it's
it's really dancing around that.
They're trying to talk about the cycle of violence because it's called collateral damage, and it's this idea of his wife and kid was killed, and then he wants to kill him, but he doesn't want to cause collateral damage. But he was the terrorist was created by collateral damage. And then we have Casey Jones, who is the CIA guy who is portrayed as a dick. And they're like, he's bad too.
And a bit of a psychopath, right? Because he
Right.
says kill them all a few times. Like he's just really, really horny to shoot every gorilla in Colombia.
But just him, you see. Like he's treated like a bad apple a little bit.
Right. He's treated like a bad apple, and it's also like they have Cliff Curtis who plays the terrorist.
Very classic Cliff Curtis role.
Yeah.
Playing brown-skinned terrorist.
They really
What
shaloobed
country?
him around this
Doesn't
time.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it doesn't
they
matter.
really-
Yeah, just have him play any person of color. They have his family have been killed by the gorillas, and then he joins the gorillas,
Right.
which doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any
because
sense.
they're unwilling to address the actual cycle of violence that
Right.
at fault here, which is the CIA and American imperialism's like it killed his family, and that's why he joined the gorillas. Like that's what actually happens in real life.
Right, and maybe there was a version, but listen, this came out February 2002.
It was supposed to come out earlier. It was supposed to
Yeah.
come out in 2001.
There was simply no fucking way they were going to be
Yeah.
like, America's bad, you know?
Nope.
And it's like,
Just
then don't make
just
the movie.
Casey
And
Jones.
they're like, well,
Just Casey Jones is bad.
yeah. And so, yeah, it was not the time for this.
This is such an embarrassing movie.
It's
Poor
a
Arnold.
problem. Yeah.
It's also
Well, there's-
like it's also like Arnold trying to move into I guess he's trying to adapt to the times because he's sort of this is almost kind of like against type for him because
Yes.
it's not very high concept. It's very I'm struggling to find the correct words, but it's like it's kind of dull. Like the premise is so very
I want to
boilerplate for an Arnold
I want to talk
movie.
about that in our next segment, technically not Arnold, about
Yeah.
his character.
Yeah.
But I will say that, I'll say at the top of this, it's the director of The Fugitive, and he tends to make more like everyman thrillers. You watch The Fugitive, what is Harrison Ford mostly doing? He's mostly running away. And so like that's not really Arnold's style, and we'll get into it more, but like that's all to say that this isn't much of an action film. Like politics aside, there are reasons why this movie perhaps wasn't the right movie for him, wasn't the right script for him. Audiences were expecting, like, it's hard to look at this movie and go like, it's the trend of the time, the audiences weren't into it. It's also like, this is the wrong script for Arnold.
It's not an Arnold
specifically.
Yeah, like I mean, at least The Sixth Day was still like part of his like high concept weirdness. Like he generally would, as we talk about this constantly on this show, but he generally picks way more of these odd sci-fi strange ass movies than you think. It's way more of those than like the one-man army movies. He's actually done comparatively few of those. And it's not even that though. Like if you're going to put Arnold in a one-man army movie, it needs to be Commando, right? Like if he's a fireman out for revenge, he needs to have stacked up, hacked off limbs with a fire axe by the end of the film. You know what I mean? Like it needs to be over the top.
And it isn't.
And it's not at all.
This does fit a classic Arnold pattern I think we talked about, which is that when they sit down to make it and they're like, we need to cast like a wild sidekick. And they're like, I got a better idea. It's more affordable. Let's cast like 5 guys.
Let's get 5 of them.
Yeah. And they'll have like 30-second roles because this movie has John Leguizamo, John Turturro, and again, Elias Koteas, and I guess that's it.
Miguel Sandoval is the FBI guy.
And then Cliff Curtis again, who, again, when he talks to his agent, it must be him being like, his agent, like, you got to practice more accents. He's like, I've been practicing accents. Which one should I go to for? And the agent's like, you know which ones.
All of them.
You know which ones. He's like, I'm thinking of like a British accent. They're like, we don't need a British accent from you.
We don't need you to be British.
Yeah. You know which ones, Cliff.
Don't make us tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We really should have him.
Poor Cliff Curtis. But he's great in this.
He's fine.
Yeah, he's making a buck.
Yeah, he's making movies. Like 3 years later, he's just not 3 years later, but in Live Free and Die Hard, it's not like one of those roles.
Yeah, he's great in that. So yeah, his wife and kid gets 9/11 while they happily wave at him. It's the most comically.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
They do. This I don't.
It's amazing.
What section do we put this in? Like the scene where he's
Just talking
showering,
about the plot, I
showering
think. Yeah.
with his little boy.
Oh, I say that.
We'll
in the
save
next
that for
section.
technically not Arnold.
Yeah, because that was the more shocking scene than the explosion.
That was an explosion
Yeah,
of a different sort. But yeah, it's about as McBain a death as you could possibly have.
it
in a
really
movie.
is.
It's just
And
they're
then-
waving at him. His kid has the rocket ship that they
Yeah.
built together that morning.
Like, we're
And I'm like-
so happy.
I'm like, I
like-
know we're gonna see that smoldering rocket ship
Yeah.
in a pile of rubble
That
And
kid
we
is
do.
dead.
next to a bloody sheet.
Yeah, it's amazing. Uh,
I'm amazed they didn't like they literally have like they show the burned spaceship and then they pan over to the bloody sheet covering the lumpy dead body of his son and then it ends.
Hero Fireman's family explodes. And then we see the politician on TV, this pacifist cuck politician, like, we can't act rash after this attack. Again, this is months after 9/11. And while the firemen watch and they're like, ugh. And they talk and they put like this like guy who's like, actually the terrorists were good on TV as well.
Well, he's the
and
only
again, like,
person that says
the thing.
but they also make him like a maniac. Like
Yeah.
at the end, he's just like he's really like
He's like, fuck that
really
kid.
casual about
Yeah.
the mom and child who got exploded, and it's like they have to put that in there to turn you against that. So to basically to signal that viewpoint is bad, and it's the those woke ass liberals who love terrorism.
I would be
It's like
surprised if
fucking
one
no
of the
one has ever had this opinion on
Yeah.
on television.
I
Nobody's
would
ever
be
said-
surprised if one of the writing credits was like Rumsfeld.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like it is a propaganda film for why we need to retaliate immediately.
Why America needs to have bases and CIA operations in every government
Yeah.
in the world.
Then he's just mainlining the grief. I want to talk about this more, but he like, no one is staying with him. He goes to the funeral, then he just goes home alone to like sit there and stew, and then
just sit there and
just
stare
get
at the wall.
angrier. Yeah, drink from
And
his
just-
American flag mug.
Yeah. Yep. So you can know how much of a fireman hero he is. Again,
Yeah.
months.
30 minutes into this film,
5 months. 5 months after 9/11.
my God. 30 minutes into this film, he's in Colombia.
Yeah, he
Which
is.
good on the film for getting him there so fast. And he is basically the FBI is just like given up. And then he basically like sneaks. He has to fight against the guerrillas, kind of run.
It's a lot.
The fugitive
it's
director.
a lot more of Arnold sneaking.
Yeah, and like running and falling down waterfalls. I noticed the fugitive director was like 4 waterfalls this time, all at once, because he just slides down those waterfalls.
It was the
And
most
then
memorable scene, right? So he wanted to put it in 4 times.
Yeah, he meets this lady and her kid, and it's like maybe they're gonna step.
He saves
There-
them from a tragic dirt bike accident.
Yeah, what was going on there? Because they're also gonna like inject him with something. It was like a kidnapping.
Yeah, they're going to kidnap him. Because in the
was
scene,
she in on it?
Probably, because we find
Yeah.
out later that spoilers, she is actually El Lobo.
Yes.
Because we see earlier that Cliff Curtis says, "Snatch him," and then we're going to hold him for ransom because
Right.
they know he's there.
Right. And then he gets kidnapped and let go and kidnapped and let go. Basically, he sneaks in as a mechanic for John Leguizamo to go undercover at his cocaine factory to get to El Lobo, who is Cliff Curtis at this point, and to explode him like he exploded his kids. And then we get this exploration again where like the wife and kid are like they're actually they're the collateral damage. Cliff Curtis is but then we learn like they're not the Cliff Curtis's collateral damage is Monster, you see, and they're the collateral damage. It's like a game of who's the collateral damage. And then like just the boys the collateral damage later. But right now you're like, oh shit, they're the collateral damage to Arnold's Cliff Curtis.
Right.
And so
the
he
crazed
saves
path
them.
of revenge that he's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. He saves them from
Right, 'cause
his collateral damage.
He almost blows them up. And
Yeah.
he makes a decision to warn them about the explosion, thus getting himself caught by Cliff Curtis.
Yes. And then Cliff Curtis is like, I'm not going to kill you for some reason. I guess she tells him not to.
She tells him not to
but-
because he's integral to her plan at the end.
Yes, to her Joker fucking plan. Because it was a bit of like, what
Depended
the fuck?
on a lot of freaking coincidences. And also, I have to note, blowing up her son.
They mention it's not really her son.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah, it's like
But
a kid
even
she got.
so, they had to have, she's gonna murder a child. That's how
Yes.
you know she's bad. It reminds me of like what Marvel does when they want to have a villain that's sympathetic, but they don't want you to think too hard about why they're sympathetic.
Yeah, they still want you to be okay with them dying in the end.
Or getting defeated by militarization and fascism.
So yeah.
So you can, like in Falcon and Winter Soldier, they had that lady who was like fighting to like feed all of the starving nations of the world or something like that.
Right, something like that.
But then they also had to have her just indiscriminately kill people.
Right. It's real weird because it's like, yeah, they have this like empathy goal, but they themselves are like evil about it.
Yeah.
It's really dumb. So he gets rescued by the FBI or the CIA, and then he's like, I don't like how you rescued me. You blew up everybody. And in fact, Cliff Curtis is going to DC, I've learned, to blow up a building. So
the
then
CIA shoots so many rockets at this
Yes.
tiny little village.
they're having a great time, the
Yeah.
CIA. And then he gets brought.
Casey Jones is all but singing.
Yes. He and the wife and the kid all get brought to the government building together.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about that. I want to talk about and then they're like, you need to pick out a building in DC that he's going to bomb, which was funny to me because it's like, look at all these brutalist DC buildings that look exactly the same and tell us which one you recognize. And it's like, this is why you need to make different looking buildings. Doesn't matter. And then she says,
Or at
oh,
least
it's
put big signs on them.
Yeah.
Preferably neon ones. Anyway.
And she says it's Union Square.
Union Station, yeah.
Yeah, and then they go there. Cliff Curtis is, and then we
Union
learn
Square.
he actually was a red herring, and she planted an incredibly large explosive in a dinosaur toy.
In this child's plastic dinosaur.
And she's basically like, I gotta go for a second, and like leaves, and kills Jane Lynch. And
Sure
then,
does.
Yeah, and then
She must be friends with the director because she has a stealth role in The
she has to
Fugitive
be.
too.
And then Arnold figures it out because of a hand motion, and he throws the dinosaur toy out the window, saving everybody.
He snatches like a steel briefcase and flings that through the skylight like a discus first.
Yeah.
After like snarling incoherently and shoving the child under the table.
He sure does.
And then he flings the dinosaur through the skylight, and it barely makes it out of the window before it explodes.
And then
Thrilling.
he basically hunts down her and Cliff Curtis. She's the mastermind, but he's still in on it, obviously. He's not a patsy. And then he murders them. And then he, I presume, takes the child. Like, I assume it's a face-off.
Yeah, it's
right?
a face-off situation. He gets a consolation child.
Good for him.
Mm-hmm. That's his child now.
Yeah, that's the movie.
That's just human trafficking, but it's okay.
It's fine. It's good human trafficking.
It's the good kind.
Yeah. We don't know if like the mother of that child is like putting up posters in Colombia.
Mhm.
We don't even look into that.
Nope.
I will say this movie did it feel small to you? Like it felt like they didn't have that much for set pieces. They had a lot of jungle.
Kinda, yeah. Well, no, there's a big firefight at the there's I don't know. No, there's a lot of explosions and stuff.
I guess that's why I mean feels small, because that doesn't like it was a lot of jungle and it all kind of looked the same.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like this building and then it ends in a tunnel.
Lots of tunnel. That's true.
Yeah, and it felt like they didn't have like they couldn't shoot on like the streets. They didn't have the budget to like shoot in a major metropolitan area.
You're right. Like us, because a lot of the conversation, like he has a long scene with John Leguizamo in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I didn't really get that feeling, but I can see what you're saying.
Any other thoughts on the movie itself? I want to mention something.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the first time I ever saw this movie. That needs to be noted. I've never seen this movie before.
I saw this movie once when it came out.
Yeah, this came out and I was like, probably because of all the 9/11 going on around me, I was like, nah, I'm not into it.
I'm all set.
Yeah, and also I was like, I was not into like that blind patriotism. I wasn't into the tone, and I was sort of over that style of action. Action had been starting to evolve at this point. Like we're actually going to be, after this, recording a podcast about another 2002 film called The Transporter. And honestly, that was sort of where I was at with action, where I was like, action has sort of kind of evolved past this.
And that's kind of what this needed to be. Like, that's what I was expecting when I saw this. And this was, like, when I saw this, it was sort of like confirming to me that, like, Arnold was done, or, like, Arnold was over.
Right, and again,
before this,
era,
we had this, that era of movies is sort of like
The Matrix had happened.
Yeah.
We're getting the second Matrix, I think, this year or the next year.
This year,
And
next year, so 2003. But yeah, it was like the one before this was The Sixth Day, which was a big fart, and that was his like sci-fi swing. And then this was the other side of the coin for Arnold, the one-man army style action movie, and this was also a fart. Patriotic one though.
Yeah, big
it smelled
patriotic
like
fart. Yeah. Let's talk about Technically Not Arnold, I guess.
Oh yeah, the only other thing I had is this movie's message is essentially we should just let the CIA continue to run Colombia.
Yes, that is the message.
Mm-hmm. They don't know what's good for. Otherwise, they'll make a deal with these guerrillas.
Yep, and then some like firemen will bust in there.
Yeah.
Speaking of Technically Not Arnold, his name is Gordy.
Gordy. I'm never going to get over that. Yeah. I wrote that down immediately. I wanted to tattoo it on myself, like Memento style, so that I remember it every morning.
And the thing I was sort of circling around with his character is the thing that felt like it was really a real mistake. He doesn't really fight dudes. He's very passive in this movie.
Yeah.
He spends a lot of the movie kind of just running away from guys with guns and being rescued or kidnapped. He makes bombs.
Yeah.
Like he sneaks and makes bombs.
He rat fucks people.
Yes.
Like
even the way he fights the final people is a bomb. He makes an explosive.
He makes a bomb. Yeah, he is just a mad bomber.
Yeah,
his like. Go ahead.
No, it's just really weird.
It is like it's especially now. Like it really comes off as unlikable to me because like the tone of the movie. Boy, is it dated, and the jingoism of it has lost any sort of ironic charm it once had, and it's now just gross. And then on top of that, for him to be like straight up like seriously rat fucking people, like he rat fucks John Leguizamo, and John Leguizamo is killed for it.
He's killed within like 5 minutes if we get getting to know him. Yeah.
And
He's just this little weasel
Yeah,
who's sneaking
it's
around.
very inglorious. And if that's the point, like if this was meant to be like a movie like Death Sentence,
Right. If this was like a thriller where you realize like he's not a good guy,
he's the bad guy. Yeah. They chickened out of that if that was the point. Like they end up like being partway caught between those two types of movies, and also caught partway between either being like America needs to stop its imperialism, or America should just run the entire, like the CIA should just run the entire world. Like
Right.
it can't make up its mind about that either. So it's this insane tone with a character that's trying to serve all of those tones. So he's just like this weird weasel that doesn't seem to believe in anything, but that like his revenge is more important than the government of Colombia making an agreement with this guerrilla group.
Exactly. And they never, again, it's like making a movie about how the Joker is actually good and cool, right? Like it's that. It's like it really feels like maybe when the director of the feature signed on, this was like a 90s style thriller. And then they were like, we got Arnold, and now the main character is cool and good now. And it's like, okay, well, the script doesn't think so. And they're like, it's fine. we'll fix it in post. Like that's the vibe.
Yeah, this needed to be somebody like like a Kurt Russell or somebody even more like, I guess, sinister than Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
maybe not sinister, but like anyway, I agree that Arnold is miscast in this. And
the movie, the tone is like miscast, but again, it's post 9/11, so it's
not fun.
No, it's really
so
not fun.
Like plotting and yeah, sorry.
Oh no, here's just what surprised me, because this movie I thought was off to a good start with this character, because it occurred to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is this the first time Arnold's played a firefighter? It's kind of the perfect occupation. Like, we've had so many action movies.
It explains why he's gigantic.
Exactly. And it also sets him up to be brave, to be tough, to be good under pressure. They make him know Spanish, which makes sense because he's a firefighter.
Yeah, he's a firefighter in Los Angeles.
Right. It's extremely surprising it didn't occur to previous movies to do that.
He takes risks. Yeah, the first thing we see him do is leap across a hole in a flaming building to save a lady.
Yeah.
And then he pulls his mask off to give to the old lady. Huge mistake. Keep the mask on. You need to have your strength to carry the lady out to safety, man, because when you collapse, which you will collapse in seconds after taking your mask off in a fire like this, she's not going to be able to carry your gigantic ass out.
So he's a bad firefighter.
He's a bad firefighter. But no, like you're right. Like they set up, it's a save the cat scene, but like it's perfectly acceptable and efficient in establishing all of these things about his character. And you're right, perfectly setting up anything he might have to do as an action hero, and we'd accept it as a firefighter.
And I was excited for him to like go after people with axes and shit.
And he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't. Instead, he uses his fire knowledge to create balls of fire.
He makes bombs. He has secret fire knowledge, Dave. And his secret fire knowledge comes in handy multiple times.
It's really funny because they're like, he's a firefighter, therefore he is the master of fire. Yeah. And it's like, no, that's not what it is at all.
He has tamed fire. He knows how to make any kind of bomb.
Yeah. It's really dumb. Is
that what that means?
They give him one scene where he saves John Turturro, but he doesn't really use firefighter like abilities there. He just cuts a lock and threatens him about how it can kill you.
Yeah. But that is using his special fire knowledge.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to tell you exactly how fire will kill you. First, it will do this, and then it will do this.
Other things I appreciate before we get into the miscasting is I appreciate that John Leguizamo is like, man, you're really German, huh? I appreciated a movie just calling that out.
I have a feeling it was an ad lib.
Yeah.
Because it's not just German. He specifically points out that he's a huge German.
Yeah. He has multiple lines where he's like, he's a giant German man. How hard is he going to find?
Yeah.
Like,
It's like John
that.
Leguizamo really wanted to hit a Christ, he's big.
Yeah.
It does seem like a meta joke that, like, I wouldn't put it past him, because if you've heard the stories about like Executive Decision where he's making jokes like that about the movie, and it was enough to piss Steven Seagal off,
Right.
to like grab him by the throat. But you could see a version where those are ad libs pointing out how absurd the idea of Arnold sneaking around is.
Right. And Arnold's like, that never occurred to me before, but that's very funny. You're right. Let's keep that in.
I don't know. Maybe I'm doing too much work for Leguizamo, but he is a comedian.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he's a funny guy.
let me see what I have in my notes here.
Well, do you want to get right to the child shower?
I just wanted to make sure we're covering all of his fireman magic.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I had one more thing.
I love
when he
for
used...
people. Okay.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
want to point out you have a physical notebook like you're an accountant.
I know. I'm using a legal pad. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know why I did that instead of just typing my notes, which is what I normally do. Oh, like he finds a fire axe in the end, and it's like a can of spinach.
Yes.
Like it energizes him because of his fire powers, and then he's able to muscle through the climax. Also, in the very end, Dave, the explosion that takes out their motorcycle, the twin El Lobos, he rides that explosion to safety.
Yes. That is it was one of those moments
he
where I'm
surfs
just
the explosion
where,
because
like,
of his
you're-
fire knowledge.
right watching it. You're like, I do not think that's how explosions work.
Yeah.
The explosion is going slow enough for him to surf it and then grip onto a staircase and like move under it, like pivot
Like
under
it's
it.
water. Like he's
Yes.
riding, like literally surfing.
Incredible.
It's very, very funny. He rides the explosion like LL Cool J rides the water down the hallway in Deep Blue Sea.
Yes. It's worth watching the movie for that one sequence.
It's unbelievable. He's definitely a pyromancer.
Yeah. So
Okay.
listen,
Okay,
The
the child shower.
the love between the child's like, how old is that child? He is like,
Way too old to be showering with his dad.
yes. That is the first thing. But he's right on
Holy
the line.
shit.
He's like, what, 6 or 7?
Man, I'm going to say he's in at least second grade.
Yeah, because well, the thing is that he's like, they're playing him like a toddler, but obviously what they do with child actors is they cast older kids
Yeah.
so they can take direction. And that is a
So
kid.
this kid's like 8 or 9.
Yeah, that's a kid that can tell other classmates, I showered with Arnold Schwarzenegger today. And I hope that actor gets to grow up and go like, I got to do that. I got to shower with Arnold,
Yeah.
and it wasn't weird at the time. Like, I hope it wasn't weird at the time. It's weird
fucking
now.
weird.
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird scene.
Yeah, because
he's just holding this
Holding
kid,
him.
and they're both nude. Like, I mean, we're seeing them from the waist up, so they're both wearing swim trunks. But like, the movie wants us to believe he's
That's
just
what I mean. It's like, I
sitting
think for
there as the strongest man in Los Angeles, showering with his 8-year-old son.
I think for the actor, and this is me being hopeful, that it was like a water park, right? They're both wearing swimming trunks, and they're like, "It'll be fun. You love Arnold," and he's like, "Yeah, I love Arnold." They're like, Arnold, how can you pick this kid up? Pick this kid up, and like that's the vibe.
Yeah, it's not
But
any different
for-
than like showering the sand off at the beach. Yeah,
Exactly.
It probably wasn't weird to film, but the
But for
scene
us,
is weird.
Yes, for us, the viewers, it's like, put that kid down right now, Arnold.
Yeah, put that kid down, Arnold.
Because it doesn't help that we know that they're not related. Even if they were related in the plot, it's still weird.
Didn't matter. Totally within the universe of the film, me watching Gordy shower with his son, I was like, that kid is too old for this, Gordy.
Right. It's
That kid is going to be a serial killer.
had he grown up. Yes. In a way, Cliff Curtis helped us.
Right. That's why Arnold's a
prevented the next
fireman. The kid
Zodiac.
kept starting fires. Yeah, I decided to get a job as a fireman because he keeps starting fires and wetting the bed.
Cliff Curtis
Also, we
did.
keep
It's a
losing
net.
pets. I keep losing house cats.
It was
Anyway,
a net
I'm sure none of
gain.
those things are related.
Holy shit. That kid was going to kill so
Kid
many
is a
people.
maniac. That kid made the bomb.
Yeah. He helped.
Yeah, he helped. That kid
So,
was
yeah.
El Lobo.
I want to talk about Arnold the Grieving Father because I realized something. And again, maybe I'm missing something, but we've had Arnold the Widower, Arnold the My Family is Dead, grizzled,
Yeah.
years after the fact, right? Like End of
I
Days,
think
right?
Yes, yeah, End of Days, yeah. I
But
thought
I'm
you meant years
realizing-
after this for a second, but you mean
Oh,
his,
no.
his character.
His character. But the Arnold, My Family literally just died.
Just died.
It wasn't the best, and maybe it might not be his fault. Maybe it's the directing, whatever. They just sort of reddened his eyes and made him look. He like kind of is gawking, and like it's not terrible. I mean, I'm not quite sure what the right performance is.
I would
for my wife and kid just exploded.
As someone who's married with a child,
Yes.
I will say that first shot where they're panning, and this is what I meant to get to
Right.
earlier. They pan over the singed spaceship and the dead child covered by a bloody sheet, past the wreckage, and then over to Arnold, shell-shocked, sitting in the back of an ambulance. His physical performance in that shot, I thought was good. Because
That's good.
he's just, he's gawking, but there's like a slight tremor to it. Like he's shaking, but he's shaking like slightly.
Right. Part of it is also
just he's shell shocked, and I was like, yeah, that's probably what I would be doing.
part of it is also what they have to have happen in 30 minutes. So they have to go from Arnold in the hospital hearing about the terrorism to Arnold Googling how to kill terrorists.
Yeah, they
while
have
drinking
to-
from an American flag mug with his office.
It's what's giving him the power.
Yeah.
He drinks his fire knowledge, Dave.
Yes. And then he sets up this like office about murdering terrorists.
They really step on the gas. They really need to
yeah.
yada yada past his grief.
And then I noted that he's very passive. He pretends to be a mechanic. Do you think he actually... It was funny to me to think about this. He probably just fucked up that generator. I don't think he knows how to fix that generator. And
No, not at
instead
all.
makes a series of explosives, like right out of the Anarchist cookbook.
Yeah.
He makes fucking light bulb bombs.
Mm-hmm. No, he makes nasty ass bombs.
Yes.
Like, no, it's very clear he doesn't know how to repair the generator. He knows how to turn it into a bomb, which is what he does.
Right. Remember when he fucking Tysons that guy? And I don't mean punches him out.
No.
I mean bites his ear
I
off.
have that guy written down
Yeah.
as one of my favorite side characters. Because they're trying to stomp Arnold out and they fuck it up so badly. It's
They
three
really
guys.
do.
It's Cliff Curtis and two of his henchmen. Arnold is handcuffed. He beats the shit out of all three of them and nearly kills Cliff Curtis, bites this guy's ear off. And this guy runs out of the hut, and we never see him again.
Oh yeah, he just keeps going. He
keeps
Forrest
running.
Gumps it. Yeah.
On their most recent Spiel Boys, Abe and I talked about this, but there's a guy in Crystal Skull, one of the henchmen, who in the scene where they're driving the Jeeps along the side of the cliff and they nearly swerve over the side, he just opens the door and jumps out of Kate Blanchett's car, and you just never see him again.
I love that.
One of the
yeah.
henchmen is just like, fuck this.
I love those henchmen that just like, I'm hitchhiking home. I'm getting a new job. I'm going to start dating
His
again.
ear bit off, and he gives up on the revolution.
Yeah, I love
He
it.
just
That's enough to take the
runs
fight out of
the-
you.
I've never seen. You so rarely see a henchman in these situations just run out of
It's
the
like-
building.
Right. It's like if Arnold turned into a werewolf. It'd be like, well,
Exactly.
I didn't sign up for werewolves.
It's like a scene from Loaded Weapon 1, like the
Yeah.
spoof of this movie. It's so good.
Yeah. I'm ready to talk about the best side characters.
Well,
that's all to say.
That
Yeah,
guy was
that's
one
all-
of my faves.
It's just all to conclude, like, he really is a little weasel in this.
Yeah, he's like a dirty little weasel. And he's also really underwritten because they're trying to serve so many things. So like he kind of doesn't have a personality whatsoever. He just knows how to make bombs. And also he just suddenly has all the knowledge he needs whenever the movie needs him to have it.
Yes.
Like he figures things out with very, very flimsy clues.
Yeah, the slap, I was like, because basically the terrorist slaps his hand in a way that is weird. And then he notices that the wife,
Did it once.
Selena, did it once. And I was like, she probably got it from him.
Right,
From-
they're
from
married.
Cliff Curtis.
Like she
They're
knows they're
married,
married.
yeah.
Like why would he immediately be like, no, that means that she is really a Lobo? It's like what? Or they're married and they do the same gesture.
But they have to give him something. Like it felt the vibes of like, man, our character mostly runs away. And again, he gets rescued and kidnapped more than once. Yeah. And so it's like, we have to give him some sort of thing that he does. And it's like, oh, what if he uses his big, beautiful brain to realize
It was
that
not made for an action star.
it was not. It really wasn't. It really feels like it was made for like a guy, like you said, like a Kurt Russell or even like a fucking Richard Gere or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a movie as we record this. There's a movie that came out recently called The Amateur, I think, with starring Rami Malek in a similar plot line. He's a perfect actor for this kind of role.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to point out is that Gordy sees Gordy. His name is Gordy.
His name is Gordy.
He sees Cliff Curtis once. And Cliff Curtis is disguised as a motorcycle cop, so he is wearing sunglasses and a full motorcycle helmet.
Yep.
And later on, in the prison that is on fire and being raided by guerrillas who are just shooting people indiscriminately, he sees Cliff Curtis, unmasked, no sunglasses, no helmet, full flowing head of hair, recognizes him instantly.
Yeah, he's like, I know that guy. He's
I know
Cliff
that
Curtis.
guy. He's the dude that killed my family. Is Cliff Curtis?
Yeah.
I know you. You're in
Well,
sunshine.
That's again. It feels like they needed him to have be smart and wily, and they don't really present. I mean, I'm not saying Arnold isn't smart. I'm just saying that they don't really present him as like a clever guy. That's not the movie we've signed up for. It's like he's a badass action guy,
Right, and they do that in True Lies. They're able to balance that.
Yeah, and they don't really here.
No,
and
not
so
at
it
all.
just I don't know.
It was a disappointing Arnold movie at the time, and it remains a disappointing Arnold movie.
Yeah,
And a disappointing Arnold character. He's not a fun character. He's not an Arnold character. It's like End of Days all over again.
It is. It's I don't know.
Jericho Kane.
It feels like maybe no one's writing the scripts he needs, and he's just like taking what he can get or something. I don't know.
Maybe it's what we were saying. The old tricks aren't working, so he's trying something else. And this was just a bad pick.
Yeah, it wasn't a good pick for him.
Nah.
All right, definitely not Arnold. Our side characters. Shout out to his wife at the beginning, who has we noted that opening sequence. It's her dream. Technically, she has a backdraft dream.
She does.
And I don't know. I just think that's funny because she very ironically has a dream that she's afraid her husband's going to explode, and then she explodes later in the afternoon. And that's all we know about her. Really, is that she explodes.
And she's a nurse, but we learn she's
yeah.
a nurse from the news.
Right. And then we have Selena.
So she takes her child out to eat at the fucking Colombian consulate.
Yes, that's weird, huh?
For some goddamn reason. Fucking sidewalk cafe next to a consulate.
It's real weird.
Yeah, that's like a Panera in front of the friggin' UN building.
Selena is the other wife. He goes, "Who are you?" And she says, "I'm his wife," instead of her name. Although that's actually kind of clever because she's trying to specifically like downgrade herself essentially in our minds of like, I'm the wife character.
Yeah.
And like
The
she
line
really
didn't feel
has-
weird at the time because he already knows her name.
I thought it was funny just because it was like kind of his wife
Oh yeah,
gravestone.
the fucking the Rock meme.
Yeah. And then we learn that she's essentially doing a Usual Suspects on the CIA.
Yep.
And I'm not quite sure what her first plan was. So they catch Arnold, and then she goes to him and goes, he's going to bomb a building. And so, like, is she making it up right there and then? Like, I'm going to use this? Because she didn't plan on him being kidnapped. Arnold.
I mean, once he entered Colombia, they did.
Right.
So
And
I
guess,
assume their plan was probably something. Either they were just going to carry the bomb in there directly themselves,
right,
or
use the kid maybe
somehow,
like,
because it seems like the kid was there for that purpose. It just seems like Arnold presented them with a very convenient mule/fall guy. So
I gotta
she
note
took advantage of that.
It feels heavily improvised because I want to note that
it's a Joker-ass plan. Yeah,
yeah, because. The other thing is, like, is she trying to get away with something? She leaves the kid in the room with the dino and walks out, and then Arnold figures it out. And he does save everybody by figuring it out, but her immediate plan after that is to go into the bathroom, murder Jane Lynch, and then just sort of see how far she can run before someone shoots her. And it was just like, maybe put a longer timer on that bomb or something, or don't immediately start killing people. Like, why not just get in the elevator? Why not just... I forget exactly.
Because Jane Lynch insists on taking her to the bathroom.
Right. She's also betting on the FBI being like, come... I want to talk about the FBI in general.
I think she's banking on most of them being dead in the room.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the room she explodes. And
I mean, like, the access of getting in the room. Like, it's a weird...
Yeah.
She's betting that the FBI is going to be like, come right into our secret headquarters and hang out here. And bring your kid. Bring your kid.
Well, maybe the original plan was Union Station. And then when Arnold, I'm doing the movie's work for it, of course, but maybe when Arnold presented himself as an option, they were like, oh, shit.
It feels like she was like,
all
right.
We can blow up the CIA, who are the actual fuckers we want to explode.
Right. And she's like, the CIA is giving me a weird amount of access. Let me grab that bomb real quick.
Yeah, let me grab that kid.
bomb.
Let me grab that kid and stuff that thing in this T-Rex.
I got an idea.
I like that they make the T-Rex's eyes light up. Like,
yeah.
You don't need to.
They didn't need to do that.
You don't need to do that. You don't need to make a little signal for us.
No one in
it's
the
actually
room
worse
was gonna
if you make a
appreciate
signal.
that.
Yeah. If anything, you're going to give yourself away.
Yeah. She was going to detonate the child.
Mm-hmm.
She turns out to be like the most evil person. She's literally spidering from the elevator later. She's like this secret badass. Arnold
She makes
she
no
survives
sense.
an explosion without a scratch.
She makes no sense. Like,
No.
It seems like she just pathologically wants to murder people.
Yeah. Arnold has to throw her into a fucking computer like console.
Yep.
And zap her.
He undersieges her.
Yeah, he does. Then we have El Lobo, Cliff Curtis, who is... I wrote this at the start, but I didn't even realize how much... He's a real wife guy.
He is.
Like, more than I realized at first.
Yeah. Total wife guy.
Yeah, because it turns out...
She's running the show.
Yeah, and he's just taking the blame.
Yeah,
And making people eat snakes.
Did he... I wanted to talk about him and that scene, because he has that snake in an aquarium. And then he takes it out of the aquarium and shoves it down this guy's throat, killing the guy, of course, horribly.
And it
but
seems
also
like
the
killing
snake.
Yeah, I was like, does the snake not want that? Because the snake is like, he doesn't really shove the snake. He like presents it, and the snake's like, yeah, let's get in that mouth. Like, the snake isn't really fighting it.
It's exploring
just sort
a hole, but yeah.
And it just seems like no one wants this. Like, it's his snake. He doesn't want his snake to die. The snake doesn't want to die.
The implication is it's his snake because he takes it out of an aquarium. But if it was just his choking guys to death with a snake, why is he keeping it in an aquarium?
Right.
Just keep it in like a coffee bucket, like a coffee
Yeah.
tin. Because you're just going to feed it to a guy.
Exactly. How often are you feeding it to a guy, too? Like, you probably have a bunch of snakes for feeding it to a bunch of guys. It's weird.
It's weird.
He's kind of weird. When we learn that he's like the front man, I also love that when he's dressed as a cop, he's giving fake tickets to people, and I was like, you don't have to do that, you dick.
He's selling it. He's selling it.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, like, I guess he's just into the glory, and he's like, I have this snake bit I want to do. Like, he went to his wife, and he's like, okay, you can be the brains, but I want to feed people snakes. And she's like, yeah, sure, I
gotta
guess.
have a thing. I gotta have a thing.
Yeah. And then, as you mentioned, when he gets Arnold, he goes in and he wants to like debate bro him, and in like 30 seconds flat, he's being choked.
Yep.
And all his dudes are running out. He's kind of a dipshit.
Earless.
Yeah. Cliff Curtis is kind of a dipshit.
Oh, yeah.
This. I wrote down Peter Brandt. That's Casey Jones.
Yeah, Casey Jones is just a straight up lunatic, as we've mentioned.
I thought he was going to be in on it because he was such a
because,
obvious bad guy.
Right, because he's so like bloodthirsty.
And at the end, he gets a stern talking to from Arnold and then shot.
He gets shot right in his head.
But I wanted to talk mostly about the FBI and CIA. I have written down. It's not one character, but basically this grieving father, his wife and kid has died, and they're like, "Let's come check out the bomb wreckage, and we're gonna take you into our like."
Right, they just show him the wreckage, and they let him watch the video footage of his family getting ripped apart by an explosion,
and then they go, "So this is the guy who did it. Here's all our information on it." And it's like, surely you have like a interview room that you could take the victim's family in and conduct a very like
explain
professional
some of this and not just take him on a tour like you're showing off all of your cool stuff.
Yes, they keep acting like Arnold's like part of the team. They're like, we call him the Wolf. He's in Colombia. Here's his address. And I'm like, what is going on?
And don't you dare try to go down there and get him alone. Can't take justice into your own hands.
Yeah.
They really harp on that.
The CIA does that too. And like, again, at the end, they're like, come to
but then
our
you
office.
also have Brandt being there like, yeah, but they're making so much cocaine. You have to go kill all those cocaine farmers.
And they just sort of like watch from satellites as this fireman does their job.
Yeah.
That they spent years. They're like, hey, he found their hideout.
Galloping into another country.
Right.
Murdering
It takes Arnold
people.
It takes him like 2 days to do what they apparently were trying to do for years.
It's bureaucracy, man.
Yeah. He
those stuffed shirt terrorist loving liberals and their red tape.
Right.
And their due process.
It really feels like they're winding him up to set him. But then again, they also bring in Selena and her kid into their super secret lair. Like it's like they don't have any rooms for witnesses or like a process for that.
Yeah, they also don't make the kid run his Tyrannosaurus through the security checker, and it's like, this is 5 months after 9/11.
Right.
They would break that thing open like a piñata.
They really would. They'd be like, sorry, kid. Rex is going to be beheaded now. Big shout out to the FBI agent who gets a call and says, I think it's the Wolf, and hands the phone over to Casey Jones, and it's Arnold.
It's Arnold, yeah.
To which that means either the FBI agent heard a man with an Austrian accent and went, oh, this is clearly the Colombian terrorist, the Wolf, or Gordy did an accent over the phone. And I don't know what's funnier.
The second thing.
Yeah, it's the second thing.
It's Arnold trying to do a voice. Oh my gosh. Arnold trying to do a Speedy Gonzalez voice.
Yep. Yeah, because you know it wasn't a good voice.
No. That would be the one he would pick.
Yeah. Shout out to, of course, Sean Armstrong, played by John Turturro, who is a Canadian serial street flasher stuck in a Colombian prison.
In a single scene.
Yep.
He's also a card-carrying mechanic for the terrorists.
Yep.
You need his terrorist pass in order to sneak into the terrorist camp.
This is a man. It ends with him being like, "I guess I should retire," and it's like he is going to be dead 30 seconds after his scene.
Oh yeah, no, there were dudes
autoerotic
waiting to cut his
asphyxiation.
throat.
Or
Oh
that,
yeah,
yes.
that too.
He is gonna. Yeah, this man is. It's amazing. He still exists on this planet. What was him? What was him? Why did they do that?
I don't know. He's just one of the random people that Arnold runs into that gives him the information he needs. He just matrixes this knowledge into his head.
It feels
by
like
randomly coming into contact with people.
It feels like a week before shooting, they're like, so we have some extra budget that we could throw to like a John Turturro type. Do you want to give him a call? And then John Turturro came on set, looked at the script, and just started immediately like crossing out lines and rewriting it. They're like, what are you doing? And he's like, trust me, I got an idea. Like it just feels very whipped together of like, let's make this guy interesting.
Yeah, let's make him a little wacky.
Yeah, let's make him a pervert. A weird pervert.
That's another thing that's left over from the 80s.
Yeah.
That just, I think we'd moved on from at this point.
Yep.
Remember when perverts were hilarious?
Yeah, we loved our perverts.
I thought that was so funny.
Our harmless sex perverts. He's like, hey, I just whipped my dick out on the street. I wouldn't hurt nobody.
Yep, just a harmless little weirdo.
Yep. Shout out to Jack, Gordy's friend, just because he's the guy who just, again, after Arnold's family dies, they show him after the funeral just alone watching the news. And I was like, surely Jack could be with him. Anybody.
Anyone at all.
But
does he have no other family?
Yeah. And instead, Jack shows up and goes, I hear you're doing a revenge. I brought a friend that can advise you.
The worst friend ever.
Yeah.
I heard you're really spiraling, so I brought you some meth.
Yep. That really is what it is. I wrote down Felix.
Felix, that's John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
The rapping cocaine farmer.
Yep. He's like, he says about John Turturro, I wish I were him. So he is looking up to the street flasher who was in jail. He's hanging out with chicks with his Metallica shirt.
Yeah, it's pretty. He's got a cool little cowboy hat. He's got a Brad Paisley cowboy hat.
Yeah, like you said, he wants to cut a rap album. He is rock bottom.
But he's got big dreams, Dave.
Yeah. They say his name, but I wrote down the cocaine stomper, listening to techno, who's never blinking.
Nope. He's really focused.
He doesn't
Later
stop.
on, when the entire place is exploding, he's still stomping away.
Yeah. I wrote down the guy who didn't recognize Arnold, who gets the snake in him. Because he says to Cliff Curtis, he had a hat on, I made a mistake. And I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of on Cliff Curtis's side with that one.
Yeah.
Where it's like he's a giant Austrian.
The giant
man.
Austrian guy.
I wrote down okay. So when the CIA bombs that village, there's a specific chopper pilot who's flying and just goes, son of a bitch. And then just machine guns a bunch of people.
Yep.
And it was like, that's a weird sequence of lines and events.
Just mows down like 8 guys. Yeah. Son of a bitch.
He says it like he knows
I knew it was
them.
going to be a killing day today.
Yeah.
And then, meanwhile, you got Brant in his ear like, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm coming. Do you have any other people?
Come so hard.
That's all the side characters I have.
I think we covered everybody.
Okay. Well, I guess it's time for the most Arnold then.
Man, I'll tell you my picks. I had 2. At first, I thought I definitely had
2.
the one. Yeah, at first I thought I definitely had the one. Which is when he grabs the steel briefcase and throws it through the skylight and then flings the Tyrannosaur through the skylight as well. And
I had my second place was simply sliding down a hill in the jungle because it was like very Predator.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's his natural habitat.
Yeah, he does get chased by machine guns off a cliff.
I imagine our number one is the same line. Do you want to?
Oh, a line. Mine is him riding the explosion.
Okay. So we don't have the same one.
That's my most Arnold moment in the film, is him riding the explosion.
I think you might be right. I
may be off a little bit, actually, though.
I had Cliff Curtis saying, so
yeah, you are. That's it.
Me?
That's it. You're right.
Yep. So when are you going to kill me? Arnold says, now. And then hurls an axe into him.
You're right. That's 100% right. It's 'cause that's exactly what we were talking about. Him doing the riding an explosion is not really an Arnold moment.
It is. You're right, though. It also
it kind of is. It kind of is. But I think you're right. I think that is the Arnold moment in this movie.
I think so.
Yeah.
So when are you going to kill me?
Now.
Perfect.
Axe
One
in
word,
your chest.
3 letters. Perfect.
Oh, man.
And that brings us to our rating system. Of course, as always, it's between 1 and 10 9/11s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 in 10 dead families.
Dead families.
9/11 families. I'd give this probably 10 9/11s in the scope of national tragedy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, I'd either give this 10 9/11s or negative 382 9/11s, because this is a thing we definitely need to forget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to make it poetic, we could make it negative 911 9/11s.
I think that's right. I think that's the responsible thing to do.
All right. We'll write it down, lock it in. Everybody remember. I'm definitely been writing these down. Definitely keeping track of our rating system.
We're definitely going to revisit it at the end. So
yeah. And we did it.
It's
Collateral
done.
Damage. Thank you so much, Norm from Cheers.
Thank you. We managed to get through it without leaving any collateral damage of our own.
It's true. Well, hopefully. I mean, we don't know what our actions
That's true. I don't know what any of you are doing while you're listening to this.
Yeah. This was through our Patreon, patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, GAMEFULLY unemployed. If you go on there for just $5 a month, you get access to a bunch of podcasts. Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder's a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, Spiel Boys, and Himboos, our new show about Supernatural, where we've recorded like 4 episodes already. That's bi-weekly. All of those for $5 a month. It's a great deal. And if you want to kick in a little more, you get all those. And you watch movies with us every Friday night. We watch a couple movies every Friday at like 5 p.m. Pacific time. We watch stuff like Collateral Damage.
Yeah, this will get watched.
This will get watched. No question about it. So come listen to us and all our buddies chat about movies. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. We also have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com. You'll find a link to our Teespring store. We have all kinds of cool original artwork by cool original artists like Michael Vincent Bramley, Starlene Hodge, Justin Brown, and others. So check that out. Rate and review our podcast. It helps.
Yeah, give us your own rating. Give us your own 9/11s.
How many 9/11s do we deserve?
Tell us.
Tell us. Please tell us.
All right.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Be
Bye.
good.
Australia